South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, home of the National Cornbread Festival. This sleepy little town lies between the Tennessee River and the Great Mountain Ranges. It's just west of Chattanooga. Population, 3,400. Also home of Lodge Manufacturing. They make those iron skillets that are famous across the entire United States.
However, this quaint little city has a violent past that dates back to the Christmas Day Massacre of 1927, when shotgun blasts shattered the silent night and left several men lying lifeless or bleeding to death in the streets. Much mystery still surrounds this event that left virtually all local law enforcement officers dead or disabled.
As mysterious as the massacre was, it doesn't hold a candle to the mysteries hidden in the walls of the South Pittsburgh Hospital. This 68,000 square foot non-profit medical facility, founded by 4 doctors, opened its doors in 1959 and served the community for almost 40 years before closing its doors in 1998.
Many feel that various lawsuits arising from malpractice suits and wrongful deaths were the major contributing factor to the hospital's closing, while others attribute it to the opening of a new $30 million facility in the nearby city of Jasper. Whatever the case may be, former patients of the hospital who have passed on have refused to leave the South Pittsburgh structure.
I see an old lady walking across the hallway. The lights are on. I'm thinking somebody's playing a joke on me. It was no joke. I went immediately after her into one of the surgical rooms and there was nobody there.
I've seen probably 20 to 25 shadows, seen full apparitions, spoken to more than anything, growled at.
Recently, the owner, Dr. Hayes, has allowed paranormal investigation teams to come into the locked environment to see if they could capture some of this reported activity, which resulted in piles of evidence, including full-body apparitions, black shadows, disembodied voices, doors slamming of their own will, sounds of footsteps, medicine carts moving down the hallways, flashing lights, ringing phones where no phones exist, and items sent violently flying through the air of their own accord.
You could be leaving your room and you would hear just a random disembodied voice. We could be cleaning in one area of the hospital, we would see black shadows. That's pretty common here. We have documented 13 to 14 EVP voices, which they are what I call repeat offenders. They are the ones that come back over and over.
Wow.
We have someone with us?
Whoa, hey there.
Okay.
Wow.
We have a lot of black shadows here, and some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger.
A man waving at me up on the 3rd floor, all the way down the very end.
Some of them do not want to talk to you at all. Some of them just like leave me alone, this kind of thing. They want you to get out of their room.
I couldn't tell his hands. It was just like kind of like that.
But there's one in particular that is kind of recognizable. He's thin and he's gangly kind of thing, and he doesn't have hands, he doesn't have legs.
Every time I go up there, I hear whispering.
And he pops out and kind of surprises you at the last minute. You don't expect it's going to happen.
Sometimes I'm scared, sometimes I'm not.
The scariest thing I've ever seen would have to be down in what we call the pharmacy hallway. And I was just working like I'm always doing, and I expect to see anything, so it doesn't faze me. This fazed me. Usually when I see a shadow person, they're gone. As soon as they know that I've seen them, they're gone. This individual came out of a doorway right at the pharmacy, and I said, okay, that's it. He's not going to let me see him anymore. So I turned around the hallway to come back and see if he thought I was gone, and he was still walking. He was walking to me, so I kept walking towards him, and he was getting closer and closer and closer to me, to the point to where I felt that he was seeing who was going to back down first, and I ended up winning. But he just poof, just like that.
So what would you say was your favorite thing you experienced there?
Well, the combo platter favorite thing is the fact that I've never experienced being brushed up against by a spirit, and or being touched by one when we were recreating a hospital scene. That was very intense, to have actual physical contact. I felt just a quick press that I felt down to my muscle. It wasn't just on the surface or cloth. It was sort of like a press that I can only compare it to when people put the suction cups on you to monitor your heart. I can't prove to anybody, but I know, and just me knowing, how truthful that is enough for me. For all we know, it could be my muscle randomly contracting.
Could be.
But seeing I've actually had operations, I know what that feels like specifically, and it's not something that would have tensed up on itself. Like, it's an odd area to tense up for no reason. So when it became 3 people and the activity picked up, it was a completely different activity.
Jim O'Rear, Debbie Rochon, and myself, we were sitting kind of by the nurses' station, and we looked down the hallway, and where the geriatric ward was, I had seen like an apparition, and I was kind of in that, I want to see something, or hear something. I hadn't experienced anything up until this point, and I saw only, all I can describe as some thing about this high that went down the hallway, but I couldn't get like a depth perception of how far it went. And so we investigated a little bit. Then we went back to the nurses' station, and all of a sudden, the 3 of us hear this woo, and we all went, "Did you hear that?"
Which sounds silly and possibly silly if you said it to somebody, of all things. It's not something really, it's not an amazing sentence that would change somebody's life. It's just woohoo, like people might laugh at that, but it was so clear. It was like I was hearing somebody speak to me.
What was weird about the sound was, here you're in this empty hospital, a building with like marble floors, and sound echoes, and you can kind of triangulate. Like if I went down the hallway and said, "Hey," you could triangulate where I was. You would hear the room, you'd hear the reverb. This sound was flat. It was like a dry, no reverb sound. You heard it down there, and I also heard it right here. And it was the weirdest sound. I've never experienced anything like that.
That it was that loud, and have so many people witness it, meaning, more than yourself. And to validate that changed my life right there.
And that led us down to the geriatric ward, where we went into one of the rooms.
This is the geriatrics wing. This is where Martha and her friends hang out. And I'm told Martha is very chatty. We've got floating lights down here, and noises and shadow people. A lot happens down here.
I'm a little nervous. I'm thinking that I see shadow people everywhere, and I probably will go running down the hallway, as Jim told me not to if I see something, but because I heard footsteps earlier, and don't want to believe, but that was pretty scary.
And Jim had an experience on the doorknob where I thought I saw it dart in.
So Brian had seen this thing and told us about it, and I didn't see it. So I said, well, let's go find out what it is. And so we took off down the hall into geriatrics, and he got there and said it was right around here, and there were a couple doors there that he had seen this thing go into, and weren't sure which one. So we just we picked the furthest one in the hallway, and I reached down and got grabbed the doorknob, and I got slimed. I thought it was a joke in Ghostbusters, but I got slimed. I reached the doorknob where it Brian said was about the level that the thing was going, and it was this weird, I don't know what it was. It was like it was slippery, but it wasn't slippery, and it was oily, but it wasn't oily, and it was like wet but not wet at the same time. It was really weird, and it had no smell. So no clue. So we had no idea how it got there. There was nothing like that on any other doors anywhere else in the hallway. So we went and we asked Cindy and Doug, who run the hospital, had they been cleaning down there, had they done anything in that area on the doors or anything like that, and they had not even started in that hallway yet. So we can't explain it.
And then later that night, when Jim made a good point. He said, something is hunting us.
Something not very nice decided to throw a piece of wood at my head, and probably could have hit me if he wanted to. I don't know. But yeah, it grazed my ear, hit the wall here, fell to the floor. It wasn't very nice.
I'll just say that my stomach's in knots, and I'm a little nervous.
Okay.
It's about as far as I can go with that right now at this point. You can check with me in a little bit.
No problem.
Okay.
When we went upstairs by the psychiatric ward and where the nursery was, there was an energy that was pressing when we got up there. I mean, it was hot anyway, but it was like a very uncomfortable energy.
And it was so overpowering, and, you know, being touched and, you know, tricked and prodded and played with.
And Jim said, let's bum rush it. So we ran at it, and whatever it did, it started up, because we started hearing knocks and those same thud sounds. You didn't hear like thud and hear like a trail or an echo. It was a flat sound. It was just like this dry sound. It was like unlike anything I'd ever heard before.
It was really interesting, and it wasn't because you know, there was less of us and we were afraid, because at that point we were rather relaxed and enjoying our experiences with the entities and spirits. So it wasn't like we were, you know, so amped up that any little, you know, crinkle that could be explained away was freaking us out. It's that it had to be almost more powerful to get to us at that point. And so that tells me the magnitude of what we were dealing with. So it's very hard to say what one thing blew me away more. But it was little things like, you know, the box that would ding when an entity would come near you.
I'm not gonna hurt. Whoever it is very comfortable hanging out here with us.
Should we ask her, assuming that it's Martha, if she could make this ding twice quickly?
Yeah, the closer it gets to the box, the faster it'll ding.
Is she able to make it go ding ding if she wants?
Go ahead and see if you get some reactions, Deb.
Martha, if that's you and you'd like to communicate with us, can you make this box go ding ding quickly?
There you go. That's nice. Yeah, come on closer.
Or the when you would switch the box and it would be able to speak if the entity tried to communicate through it, to use words.
Go ahead, you can continue to manipulate the box. Property? What about the property? Are you happy here? Yeah, we're trying to video. If you can show us something, a flash of light.
It sort of proved itself, you know, everything that you believed or didn't believe sort of came to a head, and everything just proved itself that it was just so very real, and just, it's rather life-changing to know that You know, this stuff is powerful and real. And if people don't want to believe it, it's okay and it's fine. The Old South Pittsburgh Hospital is quickly becoming a favorite location for paranormal investigators across the country, as it seems to house multiple entities and every type of haunting imaginable. Do you dare walk these halls?